afternoon. We're going to start the traffic committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021, about 3:15 p.m. So I call the meeting to order. Introductions: Jana Robbins with the traffic department.
Leonardo Martinez with the traffic department.
Michael Ackerman, city engineer.
Okay, first off is just a summary of what was last month's approved list. Traffic review along Montezuma Way between Vine and Citrus. City had received resident requests to look at the speeding along Montezuma Way. The traffic committee unanimously approved and recommended the installation of red retroreflective strips on stop signs along Montezuma Way, the installation of additional 25-mile-per-hour pavement legends, oversized speed limit signage, and the removal of damaged RPMs to be replaced by highly visible RPMs. Now it will go to City Council for final approval. Item B was traffic review along Hillside Drive between Grand Avenue and Castle Rock Court. The city received resident requests to also review speeding along Hillside Drive. Last month, the traffic committee unanimously approved and recommended the installation of oversized speed limit signs to replace the regular size smaller signs. Additional 35-mile-per-hour pavement legends, the installation of retroreflective red strips on the stop sign poles, and also removal of damaged RPMs and replace with RPMs on the curb section to make them highly visible at night. This item will also go before the City Council for final approval. Today we have two new items to review, and Leo is going to present those items.
All right, so we're moving on to item 3A, which is going to be a traffic review along Broadmoor Avenue and Rexwood Street. The city has received a resident request for speeding along the curb where Broadmoor Avenue meets Rexwood Street. The resident stated that vehicles approaching the curb are traveling too fast at the curb, so the resident is concerned with opposing traffic at the curb might cause a collision. They're not knowing where the lane ends and starts, so that was her main concern. And she also she mentioned that there was not any advanced warning signage as you approach the curb where Broadmoor Avenue meets Rexwood Street. So part of our recommendations after we reviewed this resident request is that we're requesting the installation of chevron alignment signs, as well as a center line so that the resident can, we're recommending the center line so that the drivers know where, they know where to stay, how to stay in their lanes, and that way it'll be a lot easier for them to maneuver around that area. So we're also recommending a 50-foot center line, alignment signs along the curb, alignment warning signs, as well as 15-mile-an-hour 15-mile-an-hour speed flags.
Advanced speed flag.
Yes. And we're also going to recommend the installation of 60 feet of red curb along the west side at the curb. So now we're going to open this first community discussion.
There are no community members at this time. Just as a note that each of the residents that submitted their request were notified but declined to call into the actual meeting. Any discussion on this item?
I see there's 60 feet of red curb along the BCR to ECR, and I like that. I think that increases sight distance, right? If you don't have cars parked along that curb return.
Definitely.
The 50 feet of center line, it looks like we have it centered 36 feet and 36 feet in the knuckle area. 36 feet is pretty wide for a lane, right? Even with parking, that would subtract 8, that would leave foot lean on each side. I wonder if that's standard for the knuckle, or if the, center line should be aligned more with, even with the 38 and 40 foot wide streets, maybe the center line would be 20 feet off the one.
Yeah, I think we need to adjust that to show that it's, in alignment with the through lanes. So before it goes to council, we will adjust that so that the double yellow will be more shifted over to the west to be more in line with the 38 and 40 foot roadway.
Yeah, that'll line it up with the center lines of, Rexwood and Broadmoor.
Yeah,
That'd be
so then
great.
that'll allow parking on the one side still, so that, not too wide, so that people can get speed, so we wanna narrow it, so we will adjust that.
Perfect, yeah, I think the extra room on the knuckles is for emergency response of the larger
Yes.
fire trucks to make that turn, so that'll be great.
Sounds good?
Alright.
Any other discussion? Should we take a vote?
Yeah, we can move on to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Okay.
So it passes. And this will be with the, modification to the location of the center line, this passes and will go to city council.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next item, which is item 3B. It's gonna be the traffic review for the intersection of Merced Avenue and Walnut Avenue. So the city received a request to post flashing stop signs at this intersection in order to promote more visibility of the stop signs and to improve the overall safety for pedestrians and vehicles at this intersection. The resident also stated that that intersection is very dark during the night, so vehicles she's noticed that vehicles have crashed into the traffic signs that are located on the eastbound and westbound directions, located on a small island. After our study, we concluded that the intersection of Walnut Avenue and Merced Avenue, it does meet warrants for the installation of flashing stop signs. Our recommendation is gonna include a two-phase approach to address the residents' request to increase the visibility of the stop signs for vehicles traveling along Walnut Avenue. So phase one would include, the installation of larger stop signs, which would be, 36 by 36 in all directions. And also, the installation of four-way plaques underneath the stop signs. We would also recommend the installation of red reflective posts on all stop signs, the poles in all directions. We would recommend, repainting the yellow around the median for eastbound and westbound traffic along Walnut Avenue, and also, the addition of highly reflective raised pavement markers to the roadway around the median along Merced. And the installation of highly reflective neon yellow advanced stop signs, one for each direction. And lastly, the installation of, or actually repainting the crosswalk striping to improve pedestrian safety. Yeah, so this would be a phase one recommendation. The figure shows everything we have recommended. And phase two would include, it would be, when funds become available, it would include the installation of solar powered LED flashing stop signs for the east and westbound travel along Merced, and also to improve the sight of the stop signs at night for drivers. We came up with the proposed rough cost estimate, and it's approximately $11,000 for installation.
That's for the, LED flashing stop signs, I believe.
Yes, LED flashing stop signs, and also the cost for installation. So we will move on to community discussion.
Just as a note, we did do peak hour counts, so, we looked at the volume at the intersection, a collision investigation. So we did look at, the number of collisions at this intersection over a 5-year period. And they had, six collisions, various directions. You couldn't just say it was all one direction. One of the interesting things that we did find that, we did observe traffic at this location during the peak hours that we did the count to determine how many cars were sailing through the intersection, coming to a complete stop, in essence obeying the stop sign. So the number of vehicles that kind of rolled through, as we call it, a California stop, was kind of significant. So this is why some of our improvements are aimed at making the intersection more visible to approaching cars. So the red reflective strip and the RPMs around the island, also repainting the islands, the neon yellow will help to make the intersection more visible at night, since that seemed to be one of the requests.
So, quick question, I see there's 6 stop signs at this intersection. Are all 6 stop signs getting the larger stop signs recommended, or only the ones along Merced Avenue?
On this one is all 6 would be getting the larger stop signs.
Okay,
Now, when it's the LED, it would only be the 4 on Merced.
Eastbound and westbound traffic.
Yes.
yeah. So regarding that too, were people stopping then on Walnut, and it's only the people on Merced who are doing the California stop?
Let's look.
As a matter of fact, yeah, along Walnut, they were also running the numbers were a lot less, but they're still up there.
Yeah, so
Northbound,
it may be worth it to have the flashing LEDs all directions.
Yeah.
Because there is a park right there as well.
We may wanna consider,
So, yes.
yeah, all 6 signs, or even if you just do the 4, put them on all the ones on the corners, then the ones in the medians are, bonus stop indicators. Of course, if those are the ones that are getting hit, you may wanna light those up too, but sometimes those LED lights can be, rather bright as well.
yeah.
Yes.
And then regarding painting the little median, the stop signs are on, is this new yellow paint, retro reflective or reflective? I know they have reflective yellow tape you can also put on the front of curbs sometimes.
Yeah, that is an option, so the city can do either the paint, which is the thermoplastic, highly reflective, or they can do the tape, the yellow tape.
Okay,
And then the RPMs would be outlining it and the striping that goes to the throat of it, so that when a car's headlights hit the location, hopefully that
It
makes
reflects
more-
back into
yeah,
the
it
driver.
reflects back, yes.
excellent. And then repainting the crosswalks, was there any consideration for a ladder crosswalk to bring more visibility into the crosswalk? And then also, are the stop pavement legends gonna be refreshed as well? They looked rather faded, at least in these photos.
Yes, I think we need to, stripe everything. All the, pavement legends, the stop bar. And then, because this is near a park, we may want to do the ladder, the white, even though it's white, because it's not a school, so it's white, but it is near a big park, so
Right,
I think it's wise that we need to do crosswalks in white, since we are going to be restriping as well, we might as well do a good job and make it more visible.
yeah, and if you're doing the raised pavement markers around the medians, I've seen before where they do white raised pavement markers in front of the stop bar at the crosswalk.
Yeah,
And at night that can, it's almost like a lit crosswalk at times, if the headlights hit it just right and it reflects back to the driver. It's a low cost consideration.
yeah, that's something we should consider as well, that's a good idea. So we'll make a note of that. Do we have any other discussion? So I think this one is, the approval is for phase 1, is to add, the RPMs outlining the crosswalk, the white RPMs, and then what was recommended in the report with the addition of making the crosswalk a ladder for added visibility. Visibility. And everything else, I think we were good, but we're gonna add a few, extra striping measures. And then also, we wanna make sure we call out that the stop bar, the stop
Legend.
legend is also repainted.
Okay.
So, do we wanna have a vote? All those in favor of making those improvements?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, this concludes our traffic committee meeting.